DESIblitz.com.
So tell me, you're a true inspiration. I mean, I've been following you since over 10 years now. I remember watching you on YouTube, looking at you and thinking, oh my God, how is she talking about these things, So when we look at you, we really do feel like you are a true representation for Indian girls out there. So you're an actor, you're a presenter, you're a comedian, you're an author. So you've got a lot of things going on. Okay, so take me back a decade ago when you first press publish on that YouTube video. Did you, in your wildest dreams, ever think you would be 14.7 million subscribers to date now?
No, never. I literally never. And even further than that, numbers is one thing. I never thought I would be in the entertainment industry, living in LA, writing books, going on tours, being parts of movies. Like I never thought that this was going to happen at all. This has way surpassed my wildest dreams.
Amazing. So this success, what does it mean to you?
That's a great question because I have just redefined what it means to me. I think for a long time, my success was everything. What was on my vision boards was everything. It was how I defined myself. And mix that with what headlines told me I was, like the host and the this and the first, and that became a very dangerous combination. I think now what the success means to me is it's cool. It's a cool experience. It's things I work towards, of course, but I no longer want to be the person where that stuff is who I am completely. I'm a complete human being already. And now all this stuff is just my craft and my art and the extra bonus stuff.
Okay, so you're an author of 2 books, and that's something to be incredibly proud of. Your first book was all about balsing it, so excuse me if I've said it wrong. I've tried to practice. So
no, you nailed it.
So it was all about, surviving in life, in relationships and your career, etc. And, really conquering what you do. So you've touched on it already about, your new evaluation of life. So this book took a bit of a turn, right? So tell me about that process, because it all came about through lockdown. Everything stopped. You were paused to reflect. We had, we weren't able to see people. We weren't able to work. We weren't able to do the things that we enjoyed. So you paused and you reflected and you came up with this book. So it's all about being a triangle. And I'm not going to ask you what a triangle is, because you've probably said it about 1 million times today.
You're very considerate.
Talk me through that process, and who is this book for?
Yeah, I think this book is about, how to be a boss. I still believe everything in that book. It was about hustling and goal setting, and anyone that knows me and my brand, it's all about hard work. I think Be a Triangle is about, okay, now that you've got those things, what do they mean? It's a little deeper. It's the intersection of hard work and spirituality, I would say. And this book is for anyone who feels like they just can't quite figure it out. I think the place I wrote this book from was someone who has all the stuff on her vision board, is on her 4th vision board, who still feels lost and still feels like she changes to her core depending on what's happening in her day. If she's winning awards, she feels one way. If she's getting rejected at auditions, she feels another way, and she shifts so drastically. I didn't like that feeling. I wanted to build a place that I could come home to spiritually. That was my safe place. That wasn't tied to any of those things. And the reason for that is I thought that would be a long-lasting solution to feeling lost. And I'm happy to report that it's been like 7-8 months since I've written the book, and it has changed my life. It has changed the way I think about things, how I think about myself, how I think about success. And so I'm hoping that I never have to write another book, because this one will be the blueprint for years to come.
So you, there is a serious undertone to this book, because, you talk about mental health issues. So you talk about anxiety sing. I love that your play on words and stuff. Yeah. So, visibly you're successful, you're popular, you've hit all these career milestones. How did anxiety kind of creep into that world of yours? Because perception is that you are career goals. We look at you and think, wow, she's nailing it. We don't see people like Lilly Singh on television. We don't see people that look like us, right? So where did that anxiety really creep in for a woman that's so successful?
Yeah, I mean, it creeps in often. I think the number one thing it does is it steals joy from moments that should be joyous. That is the way it has impacted me the most.
Sure.
it creates problems that are not there. And so in a moment where I should be celebrating and should be proud, instead my brain convinces me of all the reasons I should not be that. And it makes me feel nervous and panicked and always on the defense, always like I have to be in the defense mode. And that was really it's a hard place to be, because you want to enjoy the fruits of your labor. You know, if you work so hard, you want to say, oh, I did this and I'm proud of this thing. And so I've actively been working to combat that anxiety. I write about it in the book, but whether it's through self-talk, changing my thought patterns, honestly, to a degree, faking it till you make it in your brain a little bit by telling your brain of like, hey, I know you feel this way, and I know you're used to feeling this way, but I'm going to keep reminding you there's another way to do this. And we're going to keep doing it until you learn there's a new way to do this. And so it's about kind of letting go of those ideas and patterns that don't serve you and working to build new ones that do.
Sure, thank you so much. So, so Lilly, you are a proud Desi Punjabi Guri, right? And like I said, we look up to you. And so, you know, you've got a lot of identities that that you've mentioned as so far: the author, comedian, Punjabi, etc. So I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to know that it's coming from a place of advocacy and love.
Thank you for saying that.
It's so you came out in 2019 as bisexual. Now, from a Desi community, this kind of notion is not really spoken about. So what was that time like, and what kind of advice could you give to people that are struggling with their sexuality?
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I decided to come out online the way I did, which was very celebratory, was because of that. It's not really spoken about and it's a huge taboo. And I thought, wouldn't it be so great if someone was celebratory and proud about it? Which is why that was really important for me to do that way. My advice would be, listen, of course it's hard and it's scary, and don't beat yourself up because it's hard and scary. It's normal. That's a normal human response. It's the toughest thing I ever did in my entire life. But I think we really need to ask ourselves the question of, do we love what others think about us more than we love ourselves? And I do think no matter what you tell yourself now, I think life will show you that it is easier and more fruitful and less exhausting to love yourself. Sure. It is more exhausting to value others approving of you. And this is where I believe also emotion and logic come together. If you logically break it down, no one should have an opinion about who you love. And I know that's easier said than done, because we have parents and we have relatives and we have culture and society, but the work to do to be your authentic self is just so worth it. And I really believe that.
Amazing. So in terms of your kind of that time, you said it was probably the hardest time that you had to endure. Why was it so hard for you personally? Was it that kind of the battle with culture, or was it just your kind of your persona on our screens, especially from an Asian background? Did that dismantle your image in any way?
It didn't actually. I think I convinced myself it might have, and it caused me some anxiety, but I don't believe it did. Or rather, that anyone who thought differently of me, I stopped caring about their opinion, to be honest. I think what was really tough for me was, it's an interesting combination. It's a tough combination to be sharing something so personal and also being in the public eye, because already people have opinions about you. Already they think they know you. Already they write about you. And now to give them this extra fuel to do it even more is a scary thing. And I also think I was 30 years old when I came out. I think that was a little scary for me to be like, my life is going to change, and how people are going to view me are going to change, and how I view myself is going to change. And that's a scary age to be doing that type of big life decision in, because you have to learn so much about yourself at that age. So I think I was a little scared of that.
Okay, so I mean, you recently said, and I love this, I'm going to quote it back to you. So, unsubscribing to the idea that people that you've never met can't tell you who you are, and I absolutely love that. So, you know, this is to celebration yourself and your identity, etc., and not to really worry about what people think. But how do you personally deal with trolls? Because people are muted in our community. They don't like to speak up about things, right? Because they're scared what people think, what people are going to say, what will our parents do, XYZ. How do you really deal with that kind of situation?
Yeah, I actively work on this in therapy, because I have struggled with this for a long time. And what I do is, I think the first step to not caring about trolls is having a very strong sense of what your values are. What do you believe is right? What are the values you live by? And do you know who you are? When you have a very strong sense of those things, if someone else tells you what those things are for you, you are then able to say, actually, no, that does not align with my values. That is not who I am. I know who I am. But it's when you open yourself up and give people permission to start telling you those things is when things get complicated. So now when someone says like, how dare you post a selfie drinking, you're not supposed to, it's bad for, I'm like, actually, I believe in a fully adult South Asian woman being able to make a choice about her body and what goes in her body. So I actually do not agree with your point of view. So I do not listen to what you have to say about this. If someone comes and tells me like, oh, you shouldn't be talking about your sexuality, again, going back to my values, I actually believe people should fully celebrate who they are authentically. That is my value. I know this. There's no room for debate there. So I think it's a really strong self of self helps that.
Thank you so much, Lily. Lily, I know we're out of time, but I just wanted to say thank you for being you. Keep raising that flag of just freedom of expression. Keep representing us brown girls on television, because we look at you and we think, you know what, there's someone that looks like me that's up there. So thank you so much.
I appreciate that. Thank you.